So a few folks have asked for a better video of the display, so I thought I would do, rather like I did with the sump room a couple of months ago, sort of a quick video with some commentary from yours truly. This is a, well, normally a 450 acrylic tank, holds 400 gallons of water, less that displaced by corals and rocks and sand and fish. It is, the main return pump up from the basement is a Panworld 250. Not the most energy efficient pump, but it is reliable. And for me, reliability is the most important thing in a return pump, particularly since I spend a lot of time on the road for my job. The tank is not lacking for circulation. There are a number of power heads and then a closed loop. The power heads on each end of the tank, there's a Vortec MP60 and then a Neptune wave pump. They certainly provide plenty of length flow in the tank. There is a closed loop that the suction of which is on the left end, and then there's a return on the left end and a return on the right end. That is powered by a Vortec M1 with an old Oceans Motions diverter device. So it kind of swings back and forth between the left side and the right side. In the middle, so that's a modular marine 36-inch, 3,600 gallon per hour overflow. I have 3 power heads that are mounted to the overflow, so the dry side of the magnet isn't dry. Has to be waterproof, of course. There's a Jibo pump there. I'm not a particularly big fan of their pumps. I don't find they last very long, but it seemed like a reasonable role to play, because I want the flow parallel to the back of the tank, so not directly forward. The other 3 power heads there are fixed forward pumps. There's an MP40 that sits underneath the overflow, and then there are actually 2 of the new Reef Power RPM pumps, which I've only had in a couple of weeks. I like them. My only complaint about them really is that the end of the white ceramic spindle should have a dab of black paint on it, because they look like a couple of eyeballs staring out at me. As I move along, you'll see the second of the closed loop outlets. I'm using those. I believe they're RPG random flow conductors, educators. Seem to work pretty well on a closed loop. I don't know that I'd run one on the return, but I like them for the closed loop. And then as we go a little further, you can see the MP60 and the wave pump on the end. Lighting is I have 3 Radeon Gen 4 Pro panels, 1 Radeon Gen 4 15 panel, and then I have a number of the Kessel spots. I have 5 of the Kessel 360s, and then 3 of the Kessel 160s, and then the Neptune Moonlight, which worked quite nicely. You know, it's a 30-inch tall tank. It's basically 8 feet long, 3 feet from front to back, and then 30 inches tall. You know, a lot of folks don't like 30-inch tall tanks because it is hard to get to the bottom unless you are either Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or an orangutan, which neither one of us, no one in my family at least, is either one of those, and Kareem is not my neighbor. So, but you know, you buy some tongs and you just try to avoid sticking your arm in the tank as much as you can. I don't find the need to get down to the sand bed all that often. Most of the coral sits up on the rockwork. I have a few pieces that are at the very bottom. There's a Platygyra brain coral right in the front there that's relatively new, that needs less intense lighting. I have a large chalice that actually is behind this mound that hosts the Magnifica anemone, but you can't really see it from the front. But you know, about 3 or 4 inches of sand. Lots of, about, I don't know, probably no more than a couple of 100 pounds of live rock. I've certainly never been inclined to go for the sort of pound per gallon rule of thumb that ends up being somewhat useless. But it's, you know, it's been a good tank. I do have low pH problems in the summer when the house is sealed up and the humidity is high, so the ATO doesn't run very often. Therefore, the Kalkwasser reservoir that I have in the ATO isn't able to affect the pH. Much less of a problem in the winter, even though the house is also still sealed up. The humidity is much lower, so the evaporation is much higher. And I'm replenishing a lot of pH 12 water, which is, you know, a saturated Kalkwasser solution. So that's the tank. That is all the fish. The fish are they're well fed, even though they always act like they're starving. They're fed 4 or 5 times a day. The support equipment I have in the basement, including Cheeto reactor, an algae turf scrubber, and a very large skimmer, keep the nutrients under control. So, thanks for looking. Bye.